Well, good afternoon, my friends. Ah, what a journey. What a journey. But first, I want to say welcome. Welcome to all the new subscribers that have joined the NeedleBugg family. And welcome once again to all of you that keep coming back and follow my journeys and put up with all my technical issues and whatever. For those of you that are new, this is a channel primarily about cross stitch only. We have just fallen down a little bit of a rabbit hole here lately on some white work techniques. So you are apt to see just about anything in the needlework area. Anything, as I like to say, can be done with a one-eyed needle. Being a cross-stitch needle, such as, here we go, oh, that picture's on top. Well, I'll get to that, but a tapestry needle, a sewing needle, a chenille needle, or some kind of a needle. That is what you'll find here, and occasionally a little bit of life updates, but if you're interested in all of that, then you have come to the right place. A lot of times how can I say, teach, give recommendations, show people how to do different techniques. So you're probably not going to get a whole lot of this is what I stitched on this week, but you will get a whole lot of information. So with all of that being said, welcome. And I am so glad you joined us, and I hope you find some things that you like here. Today, I'm continuing to work on some, well, some Reticella. However, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge. It's a new to me technique. So you are getting a feel of the process I go through of when I'm teaching or trying to learn something on my own. I did sign up for a course, and the course I will again put in the drop-down box. It's a very good course. Honestly, it is a very good course. There are some parts in it that I am finding challenging, and and we'll get to it, I will show you, I have found some other ways to do things that seem to be working a bit better for me. It's not the traditional way, but it's a way that gives essentially the same result, and I find it a little bit easier to do. As I have said in the past about needlework techniques and about cross stitch, there are many paths to the same end result. I have, I think, chosen a bit of a different path to get essentially the same end result. So what you see currently on the screen is my first attempt. Was it bad? I can only show you a picture of it because I think since I cannot find it for real, I cannot find it. I do believe I was so frustrated with it, I threw it in the trash can. But if you looking at the screen, if you look at the upper right, that corner, that part of it is, and I send it to the instructor to ask, what am I doing wrong? How can I do this better? Blah, blah, blah. That corner, she said, was done correctly and done okay. But as you go across the top and you get, about 2/3 of the way over, things start getting a little sparse and aren't covered very well. That didn't suit me. It didn't suit her. I Yeah, I came to the conclusion on this particular start that Lugana was not the fabric of choice. Lugana was very difficult to manipulate in the manner that needed to be manipulated in order to do that satin stitch border that goes around. Because what you had to do is, if you look closely, maybe you can see it, there are 6 threads between the bottom of the 4-sided stitch and where I have a thread pulled out. That's going to be the start of the windows. Okay. And you can see it a little bit on the picture behind. 2 of those threads are to be turned to the back so that you're actually stitching over 4 with 2 of them folded under. It was just not working on this particular count of Lugana. I did not like it at all. Was very unhappy with it. So, needless to say, it got scrapped. And I do believe I was that frustrated, I just threw it away. So, after that, I thought, okay, let's try it on a piece of linen. So, this was my, I'm going to turn this under there so that you can see a little bit. This was my next attempt. And it was okay. It would have passed, I believe. But I still didn't like the way this turn under business was getting. It was probably okay, but it was me being fussy. So I scrapped this. Scrapped this one. Partly because now for cross stitch, I do like a linen that has some body, but is more pliable. For this technique, this was almost too floppy, which was part of the reason I didn't like working on this particular linen. I did learn one thing. When you're learning a new technique and you're testing out things to see what you would like and what you can work with and what you can do, don't cut the size fabric that is recommended for the project that you are doing. Because this was a 14 by 14 piece of linen. So needless to say, that little square in this big piece of linen. So yeah, it's going to get cut out and repurposed. This one, I thought, okay, I'm going to try and do something different on my own. So this one, I didn't, what the instructions tell you is to cut your threads here, like here in the corner, and then at the top, and do these satin stitches without having any threads attached. Well, I started to do that and I didn't like it. And then I went around the rest of the way without doing any cutting. But I changed to make it a bit smaller. And if I remember right, I kind of did the counting a little bit wrong. And I wasn't coming out with the right, I just messed up the counting. So again, a big piece of linen. So I didn't like this one either. Now, I maybe can salvage this, and I'm going to try to salvage this because I only have cut here and here. So I can maybe, if I need to, reweave a thread or two in here. So we shall see. Yeah. So that was this one. I know you guys are thinking, Karen, what's wrong with you? It looks fine. And I started to cut over here, and I think over here I cut a wrong thread also. So yeah, in the pile. Well, then I went back to Lugana because that seems to be the one that I really like working on. And I thought, okay, this one, I didn't use a humongous piece of Lugana. It's a relatively, it's a scrap piece, so it's not that big. And I worked a buttonhole stitch to the inside with the buttonhole edge to the inside here. And this is okay. This one is so far is okay. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I did these filling stitches, but I also had a couple more that I used a different thread for because I wanted to see which thread was going to work better. This is pearl cotton on these three. I also tested some of this crazy stuff, which is size 80, like a tatting thread. And this was a little bit difficult to manipulate. And it was a little too fine for this count of fabric. This is 32 count Lugana. So it was a little too thin for this count of fabric. So I ordered some size 40 of this same thread to see how that will work here. So even though this is one that I will use, I will make into a biscorn U, I'm still playing around with what is the best thread to use on this particular one. The nice thing about this embroidery is if these are messed up, all you have to do is cut at these intersections and the whole thing will fall right out. You might have to pick a little bit of threads out of the bars, but it's very easy to take out and redo. And this foundation I am happy with. So I'm still playing with this. Now, should I get to the point where too much frogging these motifs messes up my bars, well, then I'll have to reconsider that. But at this point, so far, this one is good. However, from the instructions in the class, I did do this differently. Point with my scissors. Okay, first of all, I put a backstitch edge on it so that I could make it into a biscorn U. This 4-sided stitch is as the directions called for. This is those 6 threads where 2 of them should have gotten turned under. And then you stitched over 4 with turning these 2 threads under. And I decided, no, not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I left 2 threads and then I did a buttonhole stitch over 4 threads, and I have the buttonhole edge facing to the inside so that I cut along the buttonhole edge, and that will hold everything together so that these threads don't come undone. Yeah, I thought about maybe trying to put something in here, but I don't think I will do that. So that is what I did different with this part. This I am happy with. I'm much happier with. Doing these motifs is a little bit of a challenge. And in all honesty, it is a matter of just practice, practice, and more practice. There's parts on these that could be a whole lot better. They certainly don't look exactly like they do on her diagram. However, they are the better ones that I have done. Now, again, she used, I can't remember what thread she told you to use. It might have been the size 80. So, of course, that's going to make it look different, where I used size 12 pearl cotton. So that's a thicker thread. So the motif is not going to look the same because you're using a totally different thread, which is, again, why I have ordered the size 40, thinking that will maybe work better. And if it does, then I'll remove these and put the same ones in with the size 40. So this one's kind of sitting and waiting for that other thread to get here, which should probably be tomorrow or Wednesday. So this one's kind of sitting around, just hanging out, so that we can experiment with some more thread. And worst comes to worst, this is just going to be an experiment, and I'm okay with that because it's on a scrap of fabric. Now, the one I am most happy with, and the one I'm going to continue working on a little bit here today while I record this, is this one. Now, this is on a piece of 40 count per dowel. Okay. And I thought, okay, let's try and keep with the traditional as close as we can. So I watched some other videos on YouTube, and there really is a wealth out there. If you just search this type of embroidery, I found a lot of videos out there to, they might not necessarily be tutorials, but they're videos to watch people stitch this white work technique. And there was one that I saw, and I thought, you know what? That is going to solve my problem. On the turning under those two threads. And I'll show you in a second what I did. The way the instructions in the course are written is to cut here, do that satin stitching, overcast stitching, whatever you want to call it, around. Do it here, then cut these, do it here and here, and cut these and do it here and here. And you're cutting, well, you pulled the thread and you're cutting right along that pulled thread. So you have just those two stitches that you're trying to turn under. Or not two stitches, but those two threads that you're trying to turn under hold that to the back while you're doing these satin stitches. And in all honesty, folks, I found it very awkward to handle. And I'm sure there are many people out there who will not have any trouble with it at all. But for myself, I found it awkward for me. So I saw a video where what this person did was just what I did here. I have my basting stitches in, which tells me, and like I did on the others, and with like I showed you the last time, shows me where to cut to pull threads, because this is my 14, this is my 6, this is my 14, this is my 6. And I went through with, okay, you cut the first thread of the 14 and you cut the 14th one. And you do that for each of these 4 sections. So I did that. And the way I did that is, now I won't have to do it here because everything's already cut. But the way I did that is just go under where I need to cut and pull that thread up and make a little loop. And then I had these little baby Dovo scissors. And I could get underneath that thread and clip it. And then I could work my way down the 14 and clip it. So then I started pulling them back to these 6 threads. Now, what I saw this woman do on the video I watched is she didn't cut those threads off. She pulled them all to the back. She laid them and kind of twisted them to the side so that when you do those satin stitches from the front, you're catching all these ends. And then after it's stitched, you can go back and trim all of this off. Now, I'm holding it in place with a little bit of washi tape, because washi tape is not going to leave a sticky residue on my fabric. So I thought, see, the other thing is by cutting along here and then doing the satin stitch, you have a raw, yes, you're turning under 2 threads, but essentially you still have like very close to a raw edge. And is that going to hold up over time? I don't know. I hope it does, but I don't know. Oh, well, this is a more secure way, in my opinion. So I'm going to try that. But now what I need to do is cut the threads on these other on these 2 sides. And I thought, okay, that's what we will do in this video today and show you how I did that. And I might not get them all cut, but if I get a corner, I'll do a corner here. And then I will show you what I was thinking is going to work of laying that satin stitch around there. And since I did it this way, I can put that satin stitch all the way up to the 4-sided stitch like it's supposed to be. So in order to do that, I still have my if you want to call it a basting thread, or my counting thread is still here so that I know where to cut. Now, I already have these threads are already loose, so I don't have to use my needle to in a bit more. I don't have to use my needle to pick them up because they're already loose. But what I can do is, hope that stays clear for you. I got to put my scientific goggles down to be able to see this. Okay. All right. So this right here, this section here is my 6 threads that will stay to be not wrapped, but woven. Okay. So this here is the 14th thread. So if I take my scissors and I follow that across and I pick that up and double check that, yes, that is my 14th thread. Okay, I just need to snip from here to here. And then I can pull these back. I'm going to cut all of these. I don't know that I'll get them all pulled back. Same thing here. This is my 14th thread. And I can just snip all the way up, and be careful when you get up here, to thread number 1. Okay, that's thread number 1. And then I can do it. Oops, sorry, I went too far. Same thing here. There's my 14th thread. And what I like to do is bring my point up at thread number 1 so I don't go too far. As you can see, there's 2, 4, 6 still there. Okay, and cut those. And then this, I just have to go up here. So I have 2, 4, 6. I can just go like this and cut those. Okay, so what I will then do is, my washi tape is all still there. What I will do then is I can just pull these back. Okay. And let's do 2, 4, 6. So that should be this. This one is thread number 1. It's easier if you can hold it taut. Pull this out. Okay. So I'm going to, once you have them pulled, then you want to flip it over to the other side and pull that whole bunch to the back, or both of those, or all of those bunches to the back, like so. Okay. Now again, this is not the way she tells you in the course. This is Karen's own making up. Okay. So now this thread I have over here in this bundle, and I'm going to pull it out of this bundle because it belongs to this bundle. All right. So I'm just going to gently comb them back. And then I'm going to take them and I'm just going to twist them under, like so, so that I'm kind of pulling them to the side. My logic for that is if I pull them to the side, then when I do my satin stitching, they're going sideways and they're apt to get caught in those satin stitches and not come undone. If I just pull them straight back, will they? I don't know that they will get anchored as well. So, and I'm going to just take a piece of washi tape and I'm just going to put that across there. And that should hold it while I stitch it. So I'll do the same thing with these. And I tried to think about the direction that I will be going around the outside so that when I twist those, I'm twisting that I will stitch from this side to this side, from here to here. And hopefully that will catch them better. So this one is, pull it to the side this way. And actually, I tend to just lay my scissors on top to kind of hold it. Oh, here comes my bud. He's going to come help. Okay. And then I'm just going to tape those down. Now, oh, here comes my helper. Do you see? Do you see a catty? Remy. Oh, geez, Louise. He stepped on my keyboard. Where the world is he? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to do that all the way around. I'll start I'll start the there we go. The satin stitch and show you how. Let's see how that's going to work. So you guys can be part of my experiment here. And this thread is a bit of a hot mess. It keeps coming off the ball. Look at that. I almost want to wrap it onto something else. Now, I am going to use, Remy, you want to lay down here, I know, but you really don't have a place. I'm going to use the size 80. And for right now, I've kind of determined that this whole piece is going to be done with the size 80 because I think that's probably also going to be the best choice for bring it this way a little more. That will give the catty a place to lay down because that's what he wants to do. And we'll soon be finished here anyway. Because, yeah, we're gonna run out, well, not run out of time, but okay. The way I'm going to start this is I'm just going to do a little bit of this to get up here because A, that will hide my starting threads. B, we're going to be stitching over it anyhow. And I'm just going to do the satin stitch. And now that I have, I can take this out so it's not in the way. I can take that one out. So I'm just going to work a satin stitch over these 4 threads, and I'm going to catch. I'm going to pull this reasonably tight. I thought about using a different thread here, but I thought about using the pearl cotton, but I tested some pearl cotton on this fabric and I did not like the way it looked. So I decided to just stick with the 80. And I'm going to go into every, just like you would in a piece of hardanger, I'm going to go into between every thread. I'm not going to skip any. Yeah. Yeah. You see that? I like that much better. I do like that better than the other way. Let me get this, yes, this window up to the 6 threads. We'll say try and be consistent with your tension. You see what I do? I have a tendency to pull a little tighter on some than on others. So for sure, this is the one I'm about most happiest with so far. I'm liking that. Let's see how it goes across the 6. Then we'll have a look at the other side. Now, the filling stitches are going to take some practice. And I was saying to a friend that I'm not going to let them get the best of me, because when I looked at the filling stitches that are being done for this, they looked very similar to the filling stitches that are going to be coming out in Yvette's new hardanger book. So it's like, you know what? I can't let this. I can't. I'm not going to let these filling stitches the best of me, because I really would like to use them, or at least some of them, on the hardanger piece that I am working on. This is It's always a little difficult to get these that are at the threads that you're going to be doing the needle weaving. It's always a little bit hard to get them pulled to the same. Yeah, I'm really pulling on those. Get them so that they aren't, oops, so that they don't go like, oh. Yeah, see, that could have been pulled just a little bit tighter over there. Okay, but now we're here. Go there. And you want this part, your stitches, this thread tends to do exactly that. So beneath there, get out there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this one may just be the keeper. I'm not going to go all the way to the corner because I think the last time I had mentioned that when you get to the corner, if you, oh, I have to cut that off. If you do it like you did the corner on Hardanger, but now you see with pulling these threads to the back and these threads to the back, that is going to make a nice square. Okay, so let's take a look at the back before we call this one a day. All right, those are ready. Whoops, those are ready to be wrapped. Okay, this could have been pulled just a little bit tighter, and we can maybe go back and use my needle and do that. So now what I would do, oh, look at that. See how that caught all those ends? So that when I take the tape off, I can just trim all of those and get rid of them. And by pulling them to the side, you're actually, do you see how they're actually being caught? As opposed to if you would have pulled them straight back, it would have been risky. Do they get caught in the satin stitches or not? So far, sticking as close to the traditional, this way is, I think, the better of the ways that I have tried so far. So now I will work the rest of the way around, pull the rest of my threads back, continue stitching around, and that looks a lot neater. Now this little eye here needs to be trimmed off. This was the tail of my starting thread, or where I left the tail. Here we go. Yes, much happier, much, much happier. See, you want your stitches to lay as close as you can to just side by side. Here I want to maybe use my needle a little bit and adjust some of these so that so that they do lay a little bit nicer. And that you can do. You just get underneath and move them around a little bit. And you just work your way around. Now that corner will get nice and squared off. When I get to that, yeah. Now, what I didn't do and I will do is I will put this in a hoop to continue going the rest of the way around so that all my threads stay in the right alignment that they're supposed to be. So there you have that much. So anybody that's been following along with this, I hope you haven't had as many starts as I did. But you know what? I don't mind, because what I will do is the ones that I'm not happy with, I'll end up chopping up that linen and cutting away the part that I don't like and keeping the smaller bits of linen. But I think I said it before in the previous video, I would like to do some biscornus for Christmas presents. So the sections that will be left on these are going to be a fairly good size to actually do that. So it really isn't a big waste. I really can use those pieces for other things. Just like I'm using this piece. This piece was a scrap of, this is actually 40 count. I threw up there. No wonder. No wonder. Yeah, this is actually a scrap of 40 count that I had. And I do truly enjoy this fabric. So this is what, oh, fix that. So this little scrap came in quite handy to, if I wouldn't have liked this, I would not have felt bad about. So, my friends, I think we're going to call this one a day. I hope you enjoy. I hope it all made a little bit more sense to do it this way. And again, this isn't a tutorial. This is just to show you how I'm working this, the things that I go through when I'm teaching myself a new technique. You know, even though I signed up for this course, essentially I am teaching myself. But that is the fun part. And part of the challenge for me is to find what threads work on the different count of fabric. I think I'm going to say the course called for either a 36 or a 38 count linen, of which I don't have any of that. I had even weave fabrics, Lugana in 25 and 32 count, and the linen I had was all 40 count. I don't have anything other than 40 count linen because that is my go-to. So it was like Okay, what do we need to do to make this work? I've even, and I may try some with that. I've even pulled out my 12 weight sulky to see, oh, okay, I have some sulky blendables. I wonder how that would work. I wonder how that would work for the satin stitch around and possibly wrapping, or not wrapping, but weaving the bars. How would that work for putting the decorative stitches in? All things to experiment with. So one of these days I'll get back to my cross stitch. But right now I'm in this rabbit hole. So my friends, I think that is it for today. I will see you all in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful week and get a lot of stitching done and try some new things. So until next time, take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.